All right, let's talk about texture atlases and multi-materials today. So this is a texture atlas. As you can tell, there's different parts of the object on here and possibly some other interesting facts. So let's take a look and see what those interesting parts are. I'm going to Max real quick. I'm going to push this out of the way real quick here. But here is the texture atlas that's being used onto this object. But if we notice, there's a book right up here. And oh, by the way, these are all from the Unreal Store. It was a download of a free castle, so thank you for that from Epic Games. So if we look at this and then we go back to our texture atlas, we'll see there's no texture for the book. That's because it's also a multi-sub-object material. And what that means is there's two textures on one object, and that multi-sub-object is what it refers to. So if I come in here and I click on any of these parts, this part down here, the furniture part, you'll see that it shows up as ID2. But if I click up here, it says ID3. So if I say select ID3, it'll be the whole book. And if I say select ID2, it is the whole pedestal. So let's go look at our materials and see what's going on. So if we look at the materials for this right here, you'll see that ID2, which is linked to this multi-sub material, ID2, which I've named furniture, is right here, and it goes up to that. And if we double click on that and then come over to the image, you'll see that's the image we were just looking at in Photoshop. So it's using that image for the furniture, but what image is it using for the book? Well, we saw that it said ID3, right? So if we come back up here, we click on this, it says ID3. And if we look on our multi-sub object and we see ID3, 3 is props. There we go. Okay, so if we look at the view here and we pull back out, we can see there's several book pages and book covers and stuff inside here. So that's why this object has two IDs or two material IDs on its one object. And that's why that it's unwrapped in two different ways. What do I mean? Well, let's take a look at this. Go to UV Unwrap. Take a look at the open it. You'll see that, let me turn this checkerboard off right now. You'll see that all my parts are here. But how's this describing what I'm seeing here since there's two materials? Well, it isn't. It's describing everything that's unwrapped. So we come back to ID, all ID, and I look at furniture melon. You'll see these are just the things unwrapped. And if we're careful and we come up here and we say Atlas Furniture 1, and then show the image, you'll see that's what it's unwrapped to, these parts of the material. So if you're not guessing already, this rest of this material is used in other places. All right, so let's look at ID, the props to melon and ID3, and we'll come up here. Oh, it does it for me too. ID3, and you'll see that now here's your book and here's your pages of the book. So that's what multi-sub is again. So let me reinforce it. This is the quiz you'll be getting today. You'll be getting a quiz with this object and several other objects where you'll have to either put the IDs on it or not. Let me show you what I mean. So this is the correct box. If I go to my material editor again, we're going to take this material sub ID and double click it so we're in there. And then while I have this selected, add it to it. Okay. So what we're looking at here is 3 different versions of it. This is the correct version. And then here's a part that has the right textures on it, but looks like the unwrap is off. And then here's a part with the no textures on it. But I will tell you the unwrap is correct. What does that mean? So what you get to do is, first probably this one. I'll take this one and I'll go to UV Unwrap real quick. And I'll say Open Editor. And then see how I just basically pack UVs for me, and it packed it up. But I don't want that. But if I look down here, you'll see I still have all my UV IDs, and this is top left, right, front, and back. This is one of the reasons it's important to name your materials, because this is how it shows up. So if I go to top left and I look, and then if I come up here and say show me the top left ping, I can see where the problems lie. So I'll grab this one, and let's see, that's the left, so I'll scale it down, put it in the left area. Then I'll grab this one and I'll throw it up here in the top, like that. And now I've got top and left back the way they're supposed to be. So if I come down here and I go to right, and there's the right texture, and that texture looks like it just needs to be lightning bolted. There we go. lightning bolt. All right. And then we will go to the next texture. So 3, and in 3, we're going to look at the front and another just simple lightning bolt. Okay, and then we're going to go to bottom and back. And if we look at the back and the bottom, they're supposed to look like that, and they don't. Well, that's pretty easy to see why. I have this one selected. If I push F2, you can see a little bit better there quick. So that one isn't quite a full pull out, but it's something like that. Something close like that. And then this one, which is the bottom, just needs to be pretty much scaled down to the right space, and more or less. And there you go. So that one's done. Now what's the next one? Well, okay, if that one's UV unwrapped incorrectly, but the textures are right, then this one must be the opposite, knowing me. So what we need to do is open up the material editor, and I'm going to change the set numbers to 4, just to make our lives easier to see here. Okay, say okay. There we go. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken this material and just thrown it on everything. Okay, but one of the things you will see is if I open this and then I click on this face, you'll see that my IDs are still the same. So 3 is still matching 3. So what I could do, really, hide this, grab this material that I know is ID'd the same as this, and just attach it, and it would work. But what I want you to do is a little bit more of a dance. I want you to actually go to each material and attach it to the correct face. So I'm going to be getting rid of this. It still works, and you can get it back really easily. I'm not going to show you that right now because I want in the test you all to build these by hand. So I'm going to come over here, go, what is this? And these are in the right order when you look at yours. So 3, and I go down to 3, and I just grab this one. Oops, not that one, this one. And then I'll attach it. And look at that, it's unwrapped and everything. So that's what you're going to do when you look at your home or your quiz. You're going to reposition all the UVs that are correct, that are incorrect, but they're still laid out right. By the way, I didn't just destroy them. All I did was repack them. So the positions and the shapes they are correct. The scale is off, but the positions are fine. So what I mean is if I look at this UV unwrap and I say open, and then I look at it, I can see stairs. Okay, and I can see the side of the stairs. So they're all the same. I didn't mess with the unwrap. You don't have to unwrap and put the textures on. Those are 2 separate things. So this one you need to replace where all these textures go on each of their materials. And this one you need to find which materials are attached to these, and by looking at their number, the material ID, like that. Okay, and that's it. And that's material IDs, and that's what atlases do. And atlases, if you think about it, if you looked at this, you saw that this one was using only a very small part of that texture, of this texture. Right? We were only using like here and here and here. And that's because all this other stuff is being used everywhere throughout the level. Like that stone texture that this thing is using right now is also used on this ground texture, is also used over here. So the power of Atlas is it allows you to have a ton of separate textures that can compress into one area. And that one area, meaning one texture, can be used across several pieces. In the future, or even currently, it gets more complicated and there's more to it. Using engines to be able to compress them together, using procedural textures and things like that. But for now, understanding what we're talking about, understanding using multiple textures across multiple objects, across multiple parts of objects, is all we're trying to shoot for right here. So take this quiz. You should have about an hour to do it. I don't think you'll need it, and we'll see you on the other side.